Dallas Cowboys, you're on the clock. We're back with another team mock draft. This time we're talking Dallas Cowboys. We'll look at kind of a team overview, and then we'll make all 7 rounds of draft picks for them and see what we can do. As always, make sure you drop comments, likes, things like that. We'd love to see what y'all have to say. Let's get to it. Dallas is in an interesting predicament. They're a team that could go either direction. They've spent quite a bit of money on a couple of positions, but they have some money to spend. But they're in the division with the champs. Philly is locked and loaded, ready to try to repeat. Washington is on the up and up and looking to try to make their name known. And then New York, they're still trying to find their quarterback, but they're moving in that direction as well. So this is a situation where if you're Dallas, you've got some work to do. You got to start with that running game. We looked at a team that had Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, and Zeke Elliott, and it just didn't look very good. They even tried to sprinkle in some Dalvin Cook. So I know that that's going to be one of my biggest priorities, whether it's in free agency or the draft. We need to get this team a running back. We need some wide receiver depth. Now, obviously, they got a stud in CD Lamb, but they need some help there. Their tight ends are fine. Offensive line's going to need some help. They probably need 1 to 2 offensive linemen that can push for quality reps and or be depth that can swing around on the inside or outside. And then on the defensive side, they've spent a lot to try to rebuild and try to help the interior with Mozzie and Osa over the last few years. And obviously they got a stud in Parsons, an aging vet in DeMarcus Lawrence. So we could look to maybe try to do some things here. I know they drafted Marshawn Nealon, hoping for big things for him in the future. So we've done some things to try to help the defensive line, but I think that's a position that we definitely want to look at. You know, our linebackers are we're still trying to figure out what we got here. I mean, they've got some solid players, and obviously Overshown's been developing and moving in the right direction. I think there could certainly be some conversations had about maybe trying to add another player there at some point in free agency or the draft. Then our secondary, that needs probably the most help on the defense. We need some corners. You certainly could see a guy try to push for depth at safety that could push for playable time, especially because teams use a lot of 3 safety looks. I think we're set on our special teamers. And then from there, I want to look at some of our grades. Though for those of you grade nuts, this is what it is. You know, they've got some young guys with upside. They've got some defensive players that are young with upside. But there's a lot of room for this team to try to grow. When you look at the guys that are free agents, quite a few aging guys. You know, 4 of the top 5 players that they have that are free agents this year are 30 plus. You know, if you look, there's a lot of 30 plus guys that are about to be free agents. And I don't know that they're going to bring a lot of these guys back. It'll be interesting to see how they try to build this roster. Obviously, in this video, we are going to be drafting. We're not going to be hitting free agency, but drop your free agent comments below. Who do you want them to re-sign? Who do you think they should go to try to sign that isn't on their team currently? I like to give us an overview of what we're looking at here, though. We got a lot of pieces that are free agents, and it'll be interesting to see what they do to bring them back. On the need side of things, I think our number 1 priority, running back. After that, we need interior offensive linemen. We probably need a guy that can flex inside or outside. We need defensive tackles. Edge rusher, I think, is definitely going to be a conversation that we need to have. Corner is our next need at number 4. And then I think we need some help in linebacker. But quarterback depth, wide receiver depth, and then edge rusher that can rotate in and play some meaningful reps. I think those are all pieces that we need to try to look at. Now, obviously, between free agency and the draft, I think they touch on all of these needs to some degree. But we need to try to get some help in this draft class. Let's get over to it. All right, we're to the mock draft portion of this video. I'm using PFFs. I love NFL mock draft database simulator as well. Is there one that you guys use? Let me know in the comments. Up on the clock at pick 12. This is a team I've been primarily mocking running back in round 1, Ashton Genty. But the way that this board fell out, and I think this is probably not going to be the case because I expect Will Johnson to go in the top 10 picks, probably the top 7 or 8 picks. He's still sitting on the board here. I don't know why people continue to get down on this player. Probably the best corner in this draft class. And if you can land him at 12, that's an insane choice for me. I don't know why you would fall and let him slip any further. Even though you need running back, you can go get running back later. There's probably 6 to 7 really high-end running backs that they could slot in and is an upgrade for anything they had last year. So we're going to go Will Johnson from Michigan here. I know the comments are going to go, no way Will Johnson's going to land there. I agree with you. We're on the same page here. Back on the clock at pick 44, you can go a couple different directions. Because of the way this board's fell, I'm looking edge rusher. I'm a big fan of Princely Umaemilan from Mississippi. I think I want to look at the board just a little bit. Well, there's going to be a lot of people in the comments that say grab Scatabo. I know he's a huge name in this draft process. I know folks are really in love with what he did throughout college. And I think as we're into combine season, he's probably going to be a guy that people get excited about. Jared Ivey, he's the other Ole Miss edge rusher. I think both of these guys are really talented, high-end pieces. Ursery's fallen down the board. He was talked about in the first round early on in draft season. So, he's a guy that you could look at. Booker here, an interior offensive lineman, I think is another piece that we need to consider, especially because his offensive line needs some interior help. This is where I want you guys to let me know in the comments. If you're going for trench players, what do you lean on first? Are you protecting your quarterback or are you attacking the quarterback? I'm going to grab us Tyler Booker because I really didn't expect him to be here. I know a lot of folks have mocked him a lot higher, but give us an interior help. I think we need it. I think it's an interesting pick here. Back on the clock at pick 76. This is kind of fallen perfect for Dallas. I love Quinshon Judkins. He transferred over to Ohio State and looked very good. This is the spot where I want to grab the running back board and see who's here. A lot of people like RJ Harvey. I think he's definitely a solid piece. Damian Martinez is the guy I've been grabbing in drafts for different teams. I like him a lot. Devin Neal, I like him as a receiver out of the backfield a lot more than I do in a between the tackles runner. But I'm going to grab us Quinshon Judkins. I think he's kind of the last of my I could see be RB1s for a team immediately. So I'm going to grab him here at 76, and you got yourself your running back. All right, back on the clock at pick 150. We are now past the fourth round. We're into the fifth round. So these are, you then see the developmental players that are going to have tools, traits, the upside pieces. I cannot believe that Ewers would be sitting on the board here. That seems a bit silly to me. He's got all the intangibles, and I'm sure at the combine he's going to put on a show for teams. So he would be a player that if he's really sitting here, no brainer. He could step in and be your depth quarterback. If you really don't like Dak that much, he could take over and be the guy in a few years. And it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he's played at a high level at Texas. He's taken them deep. I think he's done a very good job as a ball distributor, the point guard of your offense. He's got a live arm, can make all the throws, has some mobilities, played hurt. So, he's a tough guy. So if he's really available anywhere in rounds 3 to 5, I would be surprised if a team doesn't scoop him up earlier rather than later. But sitting there at pick 5, back on the clock at pick 170. We've got 3 picks here in the next 4. So it's going to be fun right here. And for those of you that know the draft well, they probably are going to package one or more of these picks as we get later to move up in the draft. Teams love to kind of move and navigate the board to grab their players. So, it remains to be seen what would happen. I don't do trades on these mock drafts. I just go right through and take what the simulator gives us and talk through some of those things. So we're not doing that. But on the board here at 170, we've got options. I'm a big Monheim fan. I think he's a really fun, solid, upside interior offensive lineman. Because we grabbed a guard, I would probably rather look on the outside. We've got Emory Jones, who is another tackle that I think has a lot of potential. We've got quite a few offensive linemen here. I like Nelson. I like Emory Jones. I think these are guys that could, over time, develop. And I think Jones is the direction I'm going to go here at 170. Because we're not moving picks to trade up and we're just staying pat, I'm taking a tackle that played at a high level at LSU. I think he's a better pass protector than run blocker moving into the NFL. And he's probably going to be a little bit slower when you look at the Underwear Olympics this weekend. But I think he's a guy that you've seen him play against some of the premier pass rushers in his conference, and he did well against him. I think if he really does slide down to the 4th, 5th, 6th round, I don't know how you don't take a player like this and hope that you can continue to develop him. And whether or not he stays outside, maybe he can be a depth piece on the inside or the outside to start and progress and develop. I mean, it seems like a win in my book. So we'll get Emory Jones, tackle from LSU, and we're back on the clock at pick 172. I think at this point, you've seen us grab. We started with DB, and then we went a lot of offensive players. So I want to make sure that we try to address linebacker, maybe safety, depending on what we've got here. I'm going to shoot through the boards a little bit. In a lot of our mock drafts, I've grabbed Antoine Wells Jr. I really like him. I think he's a really solid route runner and can be a really nice piece in an offense, but I don't necessarily think he's going to be the pick here. We got ourselves a running back. It wouldn't surprise me if they double dipped on running back just because I think their depth isn't amazing. Ooh, I really like, okay, this is another player later in drafts that I've been jumping all over, and I'm going to grab here. Athletic, good tackler. Jay Higgins is a guy that I think could step in and push for playing time early. I mean, he's got a really strong football IQ. He's really fast, really athletic, good, sure tackler, so it makes sense. Back on the clock at pick 174, we've now grabbed a little offense, a little defense. We're just going to continue to look and see what the board is giving us. I'm probably thinking wide receiver just because there are quite a few. I mean, this is a spot where you have a really good group of route running wide receivers that I think could help a couple different directions. So my tier here, as I'm thinking out loud in front of you guys, is Wells, Prather, Ricky White, Felton. Those are kind of my guys. Yeah, those are the four that I'm kind of trying to figure out which one is the Dallas option, which one would fit Dallas's offense. I think I'm going to go. I really like Ricky White. He's kind of my favorite of the four, so I'm going Ricky White from UNLV. Got good size. I think he's a plus athlete, good route runner. He attacks the football. I think he would be a really nice fit in that offense, but let me know in the comments, which of those receivers do you guys like? When you disagree with me, because plenty of you will, give me some options. Who are you guys looking at these points in the draft? Let's talk about it. Back on the clock at pick 189, we've got 3 left. So these are 6th and 7th round picks. These are guys that we're looking for a specific trait that could, well, I got my guy right here. Junior Tafuna from Utah, I think is a really fun, probably 3 technique defensive tackle at the next level. You know, he's 6'3", probably going to weigh in over 300 pounds, but he's got bend, burst. I think there's a lot to like about his game, and I think he could be a really fun late round prospect that a team can bring in, let him play on your interior and help bolster it and add some depth. All right, back on the clock at pick 211. We've grabbed quarterbacks, so we're not going to look at quarterbacks. We've grabbed a linebacker. We've grabbed a corner. Gadsden would be a fun, athletic tight end, but we don't really need tight end help. So we're going to keep looking down here. If you guys see a player you love, let me know. I mean, he's a late round prospect I basically have drafted for almost all the drafts I look at. Somebody's going to draft Malachi Moore. He's a high football IQ safety, played at a big time program for a long time, but we're going to look in a different direction. I think we are going to look safety though. I think we need to grab safety depth and they will probably look to do it late, but we're going to look at a different safety in this mock draft. We're going Jordan Hancock from Ohio State, very fluid athlete, played at a big time program. I think he's got a very high football IQ. So I'm going to grab Hancock and get them a depth safety that could provide startable reps sooner rather than later. Back on the clock at pick 249. It's our last pick. We've got an offense, we've got defense, we've gotten a little everything. So we're just going to kind of look at what's available on the board. This would be the perfect time to double dip on receiver, on running back. Either one of those positions, maybe another corner in this draft. They drafted one early, but it wouldn't surprise me if they grabbed another one late. If we hadn't grabbed a defensive lineman, Howard Cross would be a great pick. Carson Vincent is a tackle. I think that if we hadn't drafted 2 offensive linemen, would be a guy that I've been looking at a lot in drafts. I really like his upside. Played at a smaller school, but has a ton of potential. So we're going to go with a second running back. We are going to go Raheem Rocket Sanders from South Carolina. He's kind of a do-it-all type running back that I think could step in and give you some meaningful reps and really help bolster that running back room and help cover in case, Judkins needs to rest and Rico Dowdle just isn't it. I think it makes a lot of sense there, but let me know in the comments. So we grabbed ourselves a corner. We got ourselves some interior offensive line help. We got ourselves some depth offensive line help. We got ourselves a couple running backs. Even grabbed a quarterback, got a wide receiver. Well, what do you guys think? Because your opinion matters. Let me know in the comments below, and we'll talk to you later.